I'm 32, male, and I work a pretty boring office job. Nothing special. Life was simple enough until my dad passed away 3 months ago. Heart attack. Sudden. I was still trying to wrap my head around it when my stepmother, let's call her M, decided to make things even harder. She and my dad were married for about 10 years, but we were never close. She was the type who always played the victim, always had some sob story ready whenever she wanted something. Dad, being the kind and forgiving guy he was, usually gave in. I tolerated her for his sake, but I never trusted her. The house I grew up in belonged to my dad. He bought it long before M came into the picture. It was his pride and joy, and when he passed, he left it to me. Not out of spite or favoritism. It's just what he told me he wanted. His will was clear, and wasn't left empty-handed either. She got a hefty sum from his accounts, more than enough to live comfortably. But apparently, that wasn't enough for her. At first, she tried to guilt me. This house is all I have left of your father. Then it was manipulation. He would have wanted me to stay here. When that didn't work, she switched to painting me as the villain. Told anyone who'd listen that I was throwing her out onto the streets. Mind you, she had her own money and could easily afford a nice place. But why spend your own money when you can steal someone else's? The day everything blew up, I came home from work and found my keys didn't work. The locks were changed. I knocked, and him opened the door just enough to sneer at me. This house is mine now. Your father would have wanted it this way. She slammed the door in my face. Now, I'm not the type to scream or bang on doors. I just stood there for a second, took a deep breath, and pulled out my phone. Okay, Em, I figured you might try something like this. Her smile dropped when I held up my screen. See, I installed extra security cameras after the first time she hinted at claiming what was rightfully hers. And guess who was caught on video? Instructing a locksmith to change the locks? Oh, and she wasn't exactly subtle. She flat out bragged about her plan to manipulate her way into keeping the house. She said she'd make me look like the heartless son who threw out his grieving stepmother. When I showed her the footage, her face went pale. That's not what it looks like. Sure it isn't. I didn't waste any more time. I called the police. Since I had the will, the deed, and crystal clear evidence, they had no issue escorting her off the property. She screamed about how I was destroying her life. But I wasn't done. First thing the next morning, I called my lawyer. We filed for a restraining order. I also reported her for trespassing and unlawful entry. She had the audacity to try and argue her way out of it, claiming she misunderstood her rights. The judge didn't buy it. She got slapped with fines and was ordered to stay away from the house. I thought that would be the end of it. Nope. A week later, I woke up to find my dad's classic Mustang, a 1967 beauty he spent years restoring, gone from the garage. My stomach sank. I checked the cameras. Guess who? M. She used a spare key, the one I forgot to deactivate. I reported it stolen, but before the police could track it down, I got a text from my cousin. Hey, I think M's trying to sell your dad's car. It's listed online. Sure enough, there it was. She didn't even bother to be sneaky. The listing said classic car, inherited from my late husband. Serious offers only. Her greed had no limits. I sent the screenshots to the police. They found the car at a shady used car lot. Thankfully, it was still in perfect condition. M, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. She was arrested for attempted theft and fraud. She tried the usual act, crying about how she thought it was hers and didn't know it was illegal. The judge wasn't having it. But even after all that, she still wasn't done. A couple of days later, I got a call from my bank. Emma tried to access one of my dad's old accounts. The problem? Those accounts had already been legally transferred to me. So not only did she fail, but she also flagged herself for fraud. That's another report added to the pile. By the time everything was said and done, Em was hit with fines, legal fees, probation, and a permanent restraining order. She tried to beg the court to lift it later, claiming she wanted to make amends. The judge saw right through her and denied it. Last I heard, she moved to another state, probably looking for her next inheritance. As for me, I'm finally able to breathe. The house is peaceful again. I even took the Mustang for a long drive down the coast, just like my dad used to. Felt good. But if there's one thing I learned, some people will justify anything to get what they want. Doesn't mean you have to let them. And always, always keep the cameras rolling. Want to hear about the time she tried to guilt-trip my dad into changing his will? Yeah, that's a whole other mess. Subscribe and I might just spill the tea.